Hi, hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, the concerning and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah.
and then there's me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes. Yes, we shall.
Okay, thanks again for tuning in, listeners. We're back again. And as usual, we would just have to start with how we're doing. We hope you're doing good, and we're just gonna check in with each other for the checkup.
Mm-hmm. Well, another week has passed. This week just felt cram mash krabammed.
Oh, really?
It was a lot. There was a lot going
mm,
on. And,
mm.
possible opportunities. So,
Yes, yes, yes,
just,
yes.
but you know what? I got through it. And
Mm-hmm.
so God is good every time, all the
All the
time,
time.
right? Telling you. So yeah, but my week was all right, It is what it is. How about you, girl? What was going on?
Um,
What's
I-
popping?
I'm doing pretty good. I think we were saying last time we spoke, I was going on a little work offsite thingy.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of dreading, but it wasn't. It was
Mm-hmm.
okay. It was not too bad. It was
Mm-hmm.
actually I got some value out of it, which is the most important thing I think. And you get to
Yes.
talk to people maybe that you don't normally talk to every day, and so
Right?
it's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're all in it
Mm-hmm.
together,
Mm-hmm.
so we gotta kind of
Mm-hmm.
create that bond, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
trying things.
But otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I said this on the last episode. My mom's staying with me, which, if you've been living on your own for few years,
Listen,
anybody staying with you could be a task, more or less your mom. Your
right?
mom, because your mom has
Right?
no boundaries, right?
No, none at all.
Mom has no boundaries. She's up
And
in
she
the
don't
room.
care neither.
She's in the drawers. She's in the. I'm just like, lady, take it easy.
In everything. Okay. We just clean up. We just clean up
Yeah,
everything.
why
And
is your room like this? Why is this like this? I'm like, just I'll figure it out.
yeah,
Don't worry about
it's cleaned already. Yeah, Snoop. Things I'm gonna know.
it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's been my week, which is not bad, whatever. Another one
Mm-hmm.
more week of that, and the house should be
Mm-hmm.
done. I actually saw some pictures. My sister went by the house
Oh,
because we're
nice.
doing some renovations. That's why she's staying with me. So it's already looking. We're just so far they took out the floors. We were going to do the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen, and we took out the carpets out of the floors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited. I already saw it looks good. It's almost looking like a
Mm-hmm.
brand new place. Just
Right?
with the floors being done alone.
And honestly, a renovation is never easy, but the product is so worth it. Because
Yeah,
when my
for us,
parents had their house I was like,
mm,
why is there dust in every crevice of our
that's the
house? Like I
thing. Yeah,
just
yeah.
but
It's
the
painful,
end
but
product that
mm-hmm.
you're gonna live with, right? It's worth it in the end.
Mm.
Just keep telling yourself it's worth it in the end because I was sweeping up dust for weeks later,
Yeah, I
boy.
can
Weeks.
imagine. Yeah, that's why my sister was like, yeah, she can't stay. Like my dad's staying there, but that's up to him. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's staying here. So yeah,
If
it's
you can
been
manage, you
I've
can
been doing
manage.
pretty good, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest. It's getting warmer. Looking
Oh,
forward to the
so beautiful.
summer, being more active
Yes.
and getting out a little bit more. So yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Do you notice that as you start to get older, the summer is like the highlight of the year for you?
Yes, it's
Like
like
I
literally,
just feel like
it's
the
like
summer
this.
is it. I
Yeah,
can't
it's
wait.
like your mood just my mood, my outlook, and just changes my whole outlook and everything. It's like it's summer, man. It's good. Go outside for a little
Right?
bit. You just walking outside in the sun make will change
Right? Just change
your
your
mood or
disposition.
whatever.
Everything. Everything. I
So
love
it
it.
makes a
I
big
look forward to
difference.
it.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting because I'm sure people who live in an area where the weather is a little bit more consistent or somewhere
Mm-hmm.
warm, they're like, what are these girls talking about? But it's like if you live in
Right?
a place where there's four seasons, the summer
Okay.
is like
Highlight.
the angels are appearing. It's just a whole different thing.
Yeah, the whole
Um,
everybody, the whole city,
it
everybody in the
just
city.
changes up.
It's just the
Everybody's in
the
a good
mood,
mood.
right? Everybody, the weather's nice today, isn't it? People that you
Hmm.
would never have talked to that usually look miserable, they'll stop and say, "It's so nice outside, isn't it?"
Yep.
Everybody's mood, everybody just changed. Okay, you
Hmm.
notice it the most when you're in an elevator. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
noticed I live in a building, so I know I live in a building still. So Yeah, I
There's this
have been
one
noticing.
security guard that we have at our building,
Yeah.
and he has a poker face 24/7. I haven't seen this man crack a smile, not never.
Hmm.
But when the sun comes out and it's nice outside today, isn't it? And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, sir. You could talk. Okay, great. He usually has a screw face on. But anyway,
Hmm.
when it starts to get nice, people, their whole perspective on life kind of changes. So
Hmm.
yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love the sun.
Okay,
Love
so
it.
yeah, it sounds like we're doing pretty good. That's all right. That's amazing. Actually, that's not just all right. That is amazing because it's not always
Mm-hmm.
sunshine and rainbows.
No, right?
And even if it's not sunshine and rainbows, as long as you're pushing through and managing whatever you need to manage, that's good too.
Right?
All
Right?
right. So, before we jump into headlines, like I always say, I have to acknowledge our listeners. Thank you again for tuning in, and of
Yes.
course, if wherever you're tuning in, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, wherever you're listening, because we are everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
please rate and comment on the podcast. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever
Mm-hmm.
star, just a
Mm-hmm.
star, whatever it is.
Right?
We love the engagement, and thanks again for tuning in. All right, so let's jump into our headlines. I don't know why I started with this, but it's at the top of the list, so we're just gonna go into it. It's an interesting
Right?
story. So, we talked about this where with R&B singer Brian McKnight. He sang the song One. He sang the song. What's his other big song? He has a few big
That's all
R&B
I can
songs.
remember right
One
now.
is the only one I can remember right now because that was one of his
That
more
was his
recent.
song. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
song. Ooh, that song had me in a chokehold. I ain't gonna lie.
Right? Right?
But yeah,
Okay.
so unfortunately, we were talking about he had remarried and had a new started a new family with his wife, a blended family with her children, and he also had a child with that new wife. And amongst that, there was a feud between his children from previous relationships
Mm-hmm.
and him. And I think it was a story. It became a story because it was like, first of all, we always thought Brian McKnight was a classy guy. You know,
Right?
he's mature. He's always like he's one of the more
Class act.
classy class
Mm-mm.
act. That was his brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to see him being so callous with his own children from him, they're his blood
Mm-hmm.
and his blood,
His
um,
loins.
his from his
Okay.
loins, as they say. It was
Jeez
really
on.
wild to see him, even if he did have issues with them. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you as a parent have to be, you know, hold your peace because the kids look wild for saying stuff about, but is their dad. And even if they're saying wild things and you want to address it, there's a way to address it and still be classy. But he pretty
Yeah.
much, and the long story short, disowned those children for calling him
Mm-hmm.
out for whatever it is that he did, right? Anyway, fast forward, one of the children that were very vocal about the bad relationship they have with their father was his son, Cole McKnight, also known as Nico.
Mm-hmm.
And Nico was diagnosed with cancer a couple years ago. I can't remember what kind of cancer. I'm trying to look it up. He's very young. He's 32 years old.
Mm-hmm. I thought it
Um.
was like a leukemia type of cancer.
Oh, okay. That would
I
make sense.
think.
Okay.
I think.
Usually,
I have to
that would
look it up myself.
actually that would
Because
actually
he
make
was such
sense.
a young guy. Like I think he was like
Yeah,
32,
32. He passed away
right?
32
And
years old.
he's been battling cancer for a while now.
Yeah, he's
So,
diagnosed 2 years ago. So at 30,
yeah.
just before 30,
Mhm.
he was diagnosed with cancer. Unfortunately, it's such a young age, but
Mhm.
he was also a singer and a musician.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, cancer I had won. I guess I hate saying that cancer won, but you know what I
Mhm.
mean. Cancer did another one, took another one, unfortunately. So RIP to him. So his uncle, which is Brian
Mhm.
McKnight's brother, announced the news on TikTok, which I don't know how I feel about it, but that's how a lot of people found out was
Mm.
through the uncle's post. And he said Nico was one of those amazing kids who was quirky and curiously and ridiculously talented. Amazing singer, amazing guitar player. He had a great eye for photography, and just one of those kids that, at least in my estimation, was somebody who always wanted to be around. So it really sucks that he's no longer with us. And he also said something about his brother, like to not,
Mhm. Mm.
yes, and then so
And just so we
mm,
clarify, it was stage 4 colon cancer.
ooh,
Yeah, right? Stage
wow,
4?
wow,
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's that's
Mhm.
very late stage.
I'm
That's late.
surprised, and I know this sounds
He that
callous,
that he
but
made
that
it
he
2 years.
survived this
It
long. Because
Yeah,
colon
if he was
cancer,
diagnosed
ooh.
with stage 4 at the time of diagnosis, if he was stage 4, yeah, it's pretty
Mhm.
much you're
Mhm.
on what do they call it, borrowed time,
Yeah.
especially with it being colon. Like colon is one of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
ones.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. RIP to Nico McKnight. It's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate that you had to pass away with your father doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to answer to God. So just take rest in that. But in terms of the rest of his family, my condolences to you, and even my condolences to Brian McKnight.
Yeah.
Um, because he lost the child, and no matter
Mm-hmm.
what he wants to do in the shenanigans, he lost the child. So,
Mm-hmm.
condolences to him and the rest of the family. Hopefully, the the rest of the children and him can have some sort of resolution or some peace out
Mm-hmm.
of the loss of this young life. Um, but overall, I mean, Brian, stop acting the fool.
Mm.
Stop acting the fool.
Yeah, because
Okay?
like you said,
This should
he
show
has to
you.
be hurt. Yeah, he has
This
to.
should
Unless.
show you, like, I need to wise up. Like, you're the father, you're the parent, right? These are your children. So you have to be very conscious of what message are you saying, like what are you saying to them, right?
Mm.
And so hopefully everybody, Brian, you wake ups and realize, right? So life is short and you should cherish all of your children, whether you had them with women that you like or that you don't like, they're still your children. So,
Mm.
you know, prayers to the family, but rest in peace, Nico McKnight. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So we'll move
Mm-hmm.
on to our next
Something a little
story.
lighter. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Miss Jess Hilarious, we talk about Jess Hilarious again, one of the co-hosts of The Breakfast Club and known online comedian.
Mm-hmm.
So recently I was just on my socials and I was even on Twitter and Threads. I was like, why is Jess Hilarious trending
Mm-hmm.
now? Like, she's on the most famous show in North America. So there's
Right?
that could be many reasons, but why now? So then I come across a clip where they're interviewing um this somebody I know her on the I know her name is Lene Vinay, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew her from a kind of around politics. She's like a social, okay, she's just a social media star, I guess. I don't know what else to
Mm-hmm.
call her, or
Mm-hmm.
social media personality. Very good actually page to follow, very educational. She does a lot of political education, a lot of black history education. So I'm a really great talent. Anyway, so I was happy to see. Oh, I was like, damn, Lene made it to the Breakfast Club. I think she
Mm-hmm.
has a show coming. She has an online show on Revolt TV, and so she
Mm-hmm.
was promoting it. Anyway, she's talking, and the conversation was based on the clip I've seen. I haven't seen the whole interview yet, but based on the clip I see, where Lene is just talking about different gender expression or something like that. I don't know the question that prompted her
Mm-hmm.
answer to be in that topic, but she's talking about just different types of gender expression, and out of nowhere, just blurts
Mm-hmm.
out just blurts out, only women can have babies. And then the girl's like, oh, what's that? And then she's like, yeah, I was just saying only women can have babies. So I was just like, oh, did you see the clip? Have you seen any of it, anything on
I did.
this?
I did see the clip, and I was like,
Doesn't it feel like
"What?
it came out of nowhere?
Yeah, like left field. Like we're over here in the building, and she's out there in the gymnasium or something.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
just
like,
want to know if it's
where
not
the
just me where it
hell?
felt a little bit like out of
I think
nowhere.
she's on the defense, though. I
Yeah, I know.
That's what it
Yes.
came across.
Yeah, because anything the topic because of the topic, because Jess is now an enemy of the trans community right now because of some stuff way back with T.S.
Mhm.
Madison, who's a famous
Mhm. Mhm.
trans woman. And so it's been going for a while, like we were discussing. So a lot of people have been calling her transphobe for the past 2 3 years because of
Mm-hmm.
some comments on the battle between her and T.S. Madison. So
Yeah.
anyway, so obviously she's going to be on the defense with any time this topic is being brought up. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't
that's
know if
what it
the
seemed
girl
like.
was trying to, maybe she
Mm-hmm.
felt like the girl was trying to throw some shade. I don't know, but she threw that comment out of nowhere. So that happens.
One thing that I say
Mhm,
that it did seem like is
yeah.
that I think Jess was trying to get ahead of what she thought the girl was going
Mm,
to insinuate.
okay.
That's what it seemed like. Like she was already on defense mode, and then she's trying to be proactive to try to like get in front of what she thinks the girl's gonna say.
Mhm.
So then she put out. I I'm trying to listen, listeners. I'm just trying to understand why Jess Hilarious did that. It came from left field. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared. I'm trying to make sense of why.
Yeah, especially
Okay,
when she
sure.
knows that that's
Like,
she already knows some people are on the lookout for her to say these type of comments. Like
and
they're
that's
just
why I think
waiting.
she thought she was getting ahead of it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like
yeah,
already putting out her position. So it's
yeah,
like, don't come ask me nothing because I'm gonna put you on blast. This is my position. That's what it felt like because it was like, Jess, calm, calm down.
yeah.
Just
Especially with
calm
this
down.
young lady. This young lady's not, you know, it wasn't
She
like
didn't seem
it
like
didn't
she was
come across.
aggressive.
No,
No,
and it
like
didn't come
no.
across like in any type of accusing way. But I could see
Mm-mm.
how Jess was prepared for some shade. Like, you know what I mean? Based on it
Yeah.
was just a
Mm-hmm.
topic where she, like, to your point, because the
Mm-hmm.
topic is like sensitive and
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
point pain point, I guess, for Jess.
Yep.
That could be it. But either way, it was very out of place.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so so again, so obviously the community and allies of the trans community were were down her throat. She
Mm-hmm.
like they went in, and unfortunately I
Mm-hmm.
think she provoked this. Like if she kept her mouth
Mm-hmm.
shut and just
Mm-hmm.
listened, this didn't have to turn
We already know
into,
where you stand, Jess.
we
We
know
already
where you,
know.
yeah, you
We
know
know.
where
We
you
got it,
stand, so you
girl.
didn't need to. And
Mm-mm.
so obviously the same old debate is coming up, and that was essentially what she was explaining. And it seems like even
Mm-hmm.
in that same clip they come to an agreement to what the girl is saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Mm-hmm.
essentially, which, if you know, especially if you're in university, there's gender and there's sex. Gender is a
Mm-hmm.
social construct of your identity, whether you're
Mm-hmm.
a woman or a man, and
Mm-hmm.
sex is your actual, scientific,
Biological gender.
biological,
Mm-hmm.
scientific. We're just
Or
sticking
sorry.
to
Yeah,
this. Yeah,
exactly.
we're
Yeah.
just sticking to the science when we're talking about your sex, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the girl is explaining. So she's saying, um, a woman, sorry, like she's saying, just as like only a woman. She's like, no, if you, there are people who don't identify as a woman who can have a
Mm-hmm.
child. And that's all
Mm-hmm.
she's saying, which in 2025, we know that to be true, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you want to get into semantics, that's the semantics where you look at gender versus sex, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
anyway, that happens. She's getting tore up on
Mm-hmm.
the internet, and Jess Hilarious goes on her Instagram and posts a photo of her, an old photo of her while she's being pregnant, and it says, what is that exactly? Does it say? Let me go on her. Okay, recently, um, what did she write? It says something. Me and my uterus. My uterus is my superpower. Signed, a woman.
Well, one thing I'll give Jess Hilarious is that she's standing 10 toes down on what she believes in.
She's standing
And
10 toes down. That's for
10
sure.
toes down. Even if the whole trans community is coming after her, she's standing 10 toes down on it. And what I will say is, I agree with her. However, in this conversation, the
Mhm.
woman was just trying to break down the difference between a social construct and biology.
Yes, that's
That's
it.
what she was trying to do. And an educated mind would see that. Now, I'm saying that because the other day, people were coming for Jess saying Lauren, who is on the show as well,
Mm,
is more of a broadcaster. She's
mhm.
coming with facts. She's coming
Yeah.
with, you know, uh, education.
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. And education to me doesn't mean that you have to go to an Ivy League school, or education is being able to stand back and listen,
Mm-hmm.
and to learn and form your own opinion at the end of it, right? And I think that Jess was just, she was too ready on the draw. Like, she was
She
too
was
ready.
too. Yeah, she was
She
too
was too
ready.
ready. And I think that,
And
again, it's
mm-hmm.
because she's been attacked in the past, and she
Yeah.
feels as though I have to keep standing 10 toes down. And I can respect that. I can, but just
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
girl,
because and also
girl.
there's a lot of holes in in that statement,
Like,
because having a uterus is not what defines you as a woman, because there are women who are born XY, people who don't have a uterus.
hmm,
People are literally
hmm,
born with a missing uterus, unfortunately,
yeah.
right? And
And there's
so
hermaphrodites who are
and her yeah,
born with
right.
both.
There's so
So
many, yeah, exactly, what exactly, there's so many things there where that isn't, like, to me, how I say it, to feel completely right, is like chromosome. If you're XY chromosome, then that's my true definition of what we identify as. We're talking about the social construct,
biology. Yeah, we'll keep it
biology,
to
the
biology.
social construct, and that's where you go. It's the uterus is
Hmm,
not the
hmm,
defining thing of a
hmm.
woman, actually. So I kind of was like, damn, if you're gonna go hard, go smart. Like,
Right.
so,
But you see,
because
again, with the education,
yeah, true,
I
true,
love me
true.
some Jess Hilarious, right? I
Yeah,
do, but she doesn't always come from a place of knowledge.
no,
She doesn't,
unfortunately. And that's why she's
unfortunately,
getting torn up right now.
right? And in that moment, that was the time for you to learn, and you should have just zipped it. You can have your own beliefs. People that go on to university, we all have our own ideas in our
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
But when you sit down in a lecture, it's to educate you so you can formulate your own opinion.
Hmm.
Based off of what you've seen or what you heard or what you've gathered, you can then say, okay, well, I feel like this means this or that means that. But in terms of biology, there
Yeah,
is no opinion. There's no opinion. It's just how we're made. Simple.
right. Simple.
But hey, just girl, you're gonna have these people, okay, sending death threats, all sorts of thing, running you down, calling you all sorts of thing.
Calling her a man, all this.
Well, you see, that's the thing, is that you can't quite do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, yes, hey, you do what you want to do, right? But
Hmm.
I mean, that's kind of calling the kettle black. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if you're,
Ye- I know
that's the angle. Like,
that's the angle
maybe,
that they're
but
using, and I
maybe
don't know
talking
about
about her
her.
intellect. Maybe if you're
Yeah,
talking about her
that's.
intellect, then okay,
Hmm.
I could hear your diss. I might even chuckle, hee hee. But at the end of the day, when you're using that as your weapon, it's like,
Yeah,
no.
it's like, to your point. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like you're fighting the ignorance with ignorance.
But, like, come on now. Somebody has to have a brain, you know?
Yeah, so that's another incidence of just putting her foot in her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so next story is Amber Rose. So Amber Rose has decided to put
Clout chaser, yeah. Mm-hmm.
her mouth or her face or her name into the Tory
Fixed her
Lanez
mouth to say.
situation.
Okay.
And I'm not surprised. Like, this girl was
No.
supporting Trump like 6 months ago. This girl was
Yeah.
touting Trump 6 months ago. So she's clearly out for a check. She's trying, or attention or something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's on a whole new level of trying to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
So she was on social media, and she came out saying that there's evidence. This is why I think it's a campaign, because she also mentions that she was on a call with
Mm-hmm.
on the phone with Tory. Anyway, she says she knows that he's innocent because he told her so on a phone call
Okay.
from prison.
Mm-hmm.
um
Those
on
people
News
don't lie.
Nation, she
Mm-hmm.
told Chris Cuomo that she thinks that the court wrongfully convicted the repeat offender. This is the article. The
Mm-hmm.
article is being kind of shady against Tory.
Just a little.
The
Mm-hmm.
evidence shows that he's in, and this is her statement when she's on the news show talking about it. The evidence shows that he's innocent. He deserves to be pardoned by Governor Gavin Newsom. He's 100% exonerated from the gun, and for that alone, he should be home with his family. And okay, that's her belief, and she does mention
Mhm.
he called her from prison. And if there's been a few people, also Jason Lee, the guy, the head person at Hollywood Unlocked, he's also said something similar. So I feel like
Mhm.
there's a campaign, quote unquote
Mhm.
campaign going on, which
Mhm.
the stabbing, which we talked about in our last episode, triggered. And to your
Mhm.
point, that was one of your conspiracy theories, is that it was probably orchestrated by him. Because if you
Yeah.
really think about it, he was stabbed 14 times and he didn't die.
Mm.
He wasn't really threatened. They say collapsed lung, but I'm sorry, he was in good condition too soon to have two collapsed lungs, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Making statements and
If you
all.
have two
Okay.
collapsed lungs, I'm assuming you're going to be in critical condition for at least a
Yeah,
couple of weeks.
for a while.
He
For a
was out of
while.
critical condition after a few
Mhm.
couple days. So
And he was able
I,
to tell his father that went on a
Mm-hmm. And he's
whole
on the phone. He's been on the
right?
phone. You see,
Come
he's
on
been
now.
calling folks.
Come on now.
So I don't know how bad it was. So
You
anyway,
had you had the strength to pick up phone? Okay. All
he
right.
has it has triggered a new campaign to exonerate him, I guess. And he has a few
Mhm.
other people online saying something to the same effect. She's just the newest one in the bunch, and it's just
Right?
interesting coming from her. It's not interesting. I'm actually not surprised. I'm like, why is this
No.
news? I'm not actually. I expect her to jump on this train, to be honest. And it's in reading kind of on this story, they mentioned, so Tori and his team has created a website called 36 hours later.com,
Mhm. Right.
and that says suppressed evidence proves Tory Lanez is innocent. So they're trying to do a public, trying to re-envision the case through public opinion.
Mm.
And he's using social media influencers and this website, and I guess his lawyers, what do you call it, getting the lawyers to do press conferences to kind of
Mhm.
put pressure on getting the case reopened. I guess he's trying to, it has to be reopened for him to be retried. And you
Yeah.
know what, if I was in his shoes, hey, I get it. So I'm not even going to question that. It's more the people that are just
Or I think he's trying to his lawyers are trying to work an appeal
yes, exactly.
of the decision that
So they
was
want to
made.
get public for the appeal. They're not giving the appeal based on request. So it's like, oh, we
No.
want to get
Mm-mm.
public
Mhm.
pressure now for the case to be
Yeah.
reopened. So now that's why
Mhm.
they're asking for Governor Newsom, because they already tried in the court system. I'm sure they can try again, but maybe it's too soon from the
Well,
last
there's double
attempt.
jeopardy, right? So
Mm,
in the states, if you're charged and convicted of a crime, and in his case, he's done some time,
mhm.
he can't turn around and be retried for the same
Same.
case.
Yeah. So
However,
it
he
looks
can
like he's
appeal
trying
the
to get a
decision.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
It looks like he's trying to appeal the district to get the decision appealed by saying that the case was like, or the trial was like a
Fundamental
mistrial.
evidence was not
Yes,
examined.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Which
So
I
that
don't understand how. Like, this is what I don't understand about the whole trial is why is it a 5-year situation that we all need to be involved with?
yeah, we
Number
don't want
one.
but he knows he's trying to use get
Public, yeah,
outside
yeah,
support.
public
Yes, yeah,
outrage and yeah,
yeah.
I get it. I
He's
see.
trying to drum that up. I don't think enough people care, but I think he's doing a good job in trying to get, like, some influencers and some people of influence. He
His lawyer has a good strategy.
Yeah.
Definitely, because
Yeah.
if you want judges to even consider ruling over another judge's decision, you
Hmm.
have to create some sort of outcry from the public.
Yes,
And
and that's
so
what this all of this, now that I'm
exactly.
looking at full picture, is trying to do. That's
Yeah. But
from
what
the
I don't
stabbing
understand
onwards.
from the
Mhm.
very beginning is why were you even convicted? Like, I don't understand why you even went to jail. What kind of money do you have, Tori, where these lawyers didn't find this evidence before you were
Oh, well,
convicted?
that's why, to me personally, it's like, I,
Made
I'm
up
not buying
evidence?
it. But legally, I get what he's trying to do, but I think it's all bullshit.
I do too. I think that where did this evidence all of a sudden just
Yeah,
appear
it's
at?
all foolishness. They're like
Right?
pulling stuff out of their ass right now.
Yeah, this is the last go around. This is probably the last few millions that he has left. And he's like,
Yep.
listen, we have to, put together a really good campaign to try to get me out of here.
Yeah.
And, he's trying really hard. And I understand why.
Yeah.
However, right? If you were just behave yourself in jail, you might be able to get out sooner than you think,
Yeah, because
right?
he's
Than
definitely
an
wasn't.
appeal.
I never thought he was going to do that full sentence. Like, I think if he
No,
was
because
being
already it
quiet,
was
he would
2 years.
probably be out by next year.
Yeah,
If
it
he
was
was.
already 2 years by time the actual trial came. And
Mm,
so your lawyer can turn around and ask that the time that you that you were preparing for the trial, maybe you had some jail time to be considered
hmm.
in the overall time that you have to serve.
Yes,
And like him, the thing with this whole situation is that it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to die.
I know, eh?
It just keeps coming up and coming up.
Yeah, that's why I wish he would just see since like this is the last attempt. Fine, you have something to trigger something.
Yeah.
You may have this whole drama with the stabbing. Fine,
Hmm.
but I don't want to hear anything after this. If it doesn't work, you better sit down and be quiet.
Well, everybody is trying to say that it's what's her name now? The other girl that was there.
Kelsey.
Um Kelsey. That's
Hmm.
right. That it was Kelsey that shot her or shot at the ground. And my thought is, why would Tory Lanez take a go to trial for something that this girl did? Like, why would
Exactly.
you not
He's trying to convince us he was trying to protect her. No way, buddy. The way
protect
you were
who?
acting.
Like, were you protecting her when you were smashing her best friend? Like, come on now, keep it a buck. Like, you're Tory Lanez. Unfortunately, Kelsey, we only know you because of Meg.
Hmm.
So you're Meg's best friend. So for me, I don't understand why he would do this. The only logical explanation I have is he really thought he was gonna get off.
Yeah, of course he
He
did.
really did,
He was act. That's why I don't have any sympathy for him. Unfortunately, even though he's like a
right?
Canadian talent and everything, is like I don't care what happens to him because it's like the way he acted when all of this went down. It was like,
Right?
buddy, you're acting like you didn't. Whether you shot her or not, you're acting like this isn't a serious case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a serious business, and he was acting it like it was a joke. He
and
was acting
and
like it was a
and
joke.
and at times it felt like he was berating Meg
Oh,
at times,
he was definitely
right?
what's the word heckling or her or like
Definitely. He was definitely thought he was in the clear because of his
mm,
celebrity. But
mm.
what he didn't
Your
realize
star
is
ain't that bright, buddy. Funnily, his name is
right,
Daystar.
right, right. No, you don't glow that bright. But in the same breath, you're Canadian, my friend. Like, I say that because what I've learned about people from the States is if you are born an American or
Mm,
you stand true to being an American, they seem to like come together like Voltron when things happen, like when
hmm.
things happen in the world. And unfortunately, you're just not an American. So, and I say that because you're looking from the appeal of American people. And at this time, I don't know. I don't know if it's, I'm just saying that there are some people in the States that, well, you're Canadian. You're not one of us. You're
Hmm.
not one of us. I mean, there's a whole song.
You're
There's
not
a
like us.
whole song. Okay? So like I'm just I'm being facetious. But either which way, I think, Tory Lanez, you're gonna be just fine. I think you should just sit your ass down in the jail, learn something from your experience, and come out a better person. I think you constantly trying to get yourself out of jail makes you look more and more guilty. And I think it's
Mm,
ruining public opinion of you. Because look, when this all happened, you were on cloud nine. You were on this big old Beyonce's internet going to
hmm.
town. And now all of a
Hmm.
sudden, you
He
want
was going to
you want
town
sympathy
on
from
Meg.
everybody.
Hmm.
Okay? You forgot when you were on the big internet, okay? Calling out Meg and saying all of these things, and yeah, you think people forgot that? It was probably a part of your trial. Okay, so I just think he should use the time constructively. And one other thing I wanted to say was about his dad. Now I
Mm.
know that a father, a parent, is going to fight for their child,
Yep.
right? I get it, but sometimes your child have to go sit down. Sometimes the pitney have to learn the hard way. You understand? So I see why he's advocating for his son, especially now that he was stabbed. I get it. I do. But unfortunately, you have to trust in God that He's going to protect your son and bring him through the worst, and that he goes through the fire and he learns something when he gets
Mhm.
on the other end. Because I think, Tory was feeling himself a little bit too much. He was feeling himself a little too much.
Mhm.
He was too much of on a upward trajectory where he thought he could never fall down. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But the industry showed you real quick. Amber Rose, girl, because it was about Amber Rose. I understand this is probably how you make your money. I get it, right? And I see that it wasn't surprising because anything that's controversy, you jump on it. You jump on it because it keeps you relevant. It has everybody's talking about what you're saying. But one thing I have to say about Amber Rose is, girl, the hell up. Just
Right?
shut the hell up. Because everybody can see through the facade. You don't care about Tory Lanez. You're using his saga to try to make a buck. And it's kind of, disgusting. Like, just go sit down someplace. I don't like Amber Rose for that. I can see, yes, a lot of people do it, right? But she takes it to a whole new level. Like, she thinks that, oh, if I attach myself to controversy, people are going to care more about what I think.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Or who I am. Now,
Yes.
this interview, she's trying to sound like a broadcaster and everything. I'm like, girl, if you want a job on a news station, just go apply. Like,
Right?
really?
Go to the right wing sites. Trust I don't the thing is she can't even go there because she's into interracial relationships. She has
Okay.
black children. So it's not
Okay.
even she can't even really fully go over there. They won't fully accept her anyway. So
Exactly.
it's kinda like
But it's so
anyway.
obvious. It's like you want to be important. And what's going on with you, Amber Rose? What you doing? Because you like to
This is
attach
what she's
yourself
this
to
is her new
every.
hustle.
This is the hustle.
Attach yourself to
This is
controversy.
her career. This is her career. She made a name for herself off of other people's names, starting with Kanye. So, But anyway, Amber Rose, keep it pushing, girl. You just, I can't with her sometimes because she likes to talk so much bull, and it's like, just go sit down someplace. You don't even have anything real to actually contribute or to say. So what? You talk to him. So did his lawyer. Like,
So did all half of all the D-list
like,
celebrities in Hollywood.
please.
So, so anyway, so he's clearly running a campaign, and I won't be interested in until I see what the courts decide. It's all talk and chat and noise until the courts
Amen.
actually decide to do
Hmm.
anything with all of this drama he's drum. All of whatever he's drumming up right now, it's nothing until the actual courts actually agree to do anything about it.
Exactly. And
So
I
we'll
feel
see.
like, more and more judges are starting to be aware that this is how they're trying to get around the system by using public opinion to force the
Yep.
law in their hand. And
Mm-hmm.
we have to be careful when we're doing things like that because our judicial system is what keeps order.
Mm-hmm.
So if a population of people can just come along and say, "Judge, you need to set him out," then what's the whole point in the judicial system? If a bunch of people could just be angry at a decision of a judge, then everything will be overturned because people are upset about it. Then what order will we have? Like, you really have to think about, if judges keep doing this, right? Then relying on our judicial system to protect us and to create order, then it's out the door because all you have to do is have a protest and Tory Lanez is walking. Like, really? You're gonna say that? Like the guy that stabbed him, who was in a full relationship with a 13-year-old girl, are you gonna have an outrage for him to get his ass out? And do you expect
Nope.
a judge to listen to that outrage and
No,
base their
that guy had
decisions
nothing
on
to
that
lose.
outrage? No, you
He's
don't.
never coming out of jail. He's in
Right?
for life.
Right?
But
But
he
with
was saying now that we're talking about him, the
mhm.
perpetrator, the guy who stabbed him. He actually told TMZ, I don't know how, maybe on the phone, but he said it was in self defense. He thought Tori was put a hit on him or something,
Mm.
and so he was put he had, he pretty much stabbed him in self-defense. That's what he says. He got one stab, so who knows if there's any truth to that, but there was something
Mm.
going on in his mind. He thought his life was in danger from Tory Lanez. Hard to believe, but that's what he said.
The thing
That's what
that
he's saying.
I find it so hard to believe
Mhm.
is when, okay, when you get stabbed in jail, it ain't like when you get stabbed on the street. You understand what I'm
No.
telling you? This is a makeshift shank, okay, that they
Hmm.
have in jail, and he got licked 14 times, and not one major artery was sliced.
That's the one. That's the sus part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was a good. So I guess, he round up what he had left, and he
Hmm.
said, "Listen, we have to go on a campaign to get me out of here."
Yep.
So hey. Either way, I have heard that Tori is recovering.
Yeah.
He's still alive. He made it through, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go to our next story, which was about Smokey Robinson.
Oh boy.
Smokey Robinson is like 80 something years old.
Man, I know how him have time.
Who
Look.
is Smokey Robinson is like some type of 80 something. Let me find out how old Smokey is. I know he's in his
Okay.
80s, but I don't know how deep in the
Smokey's out
80s.
here doing the do. Doing
He is
damn thing out here.
85 years old.
What the
R&B
hell?
singer Smokey Robinson, and he was known for being in the band. He was in a few bands, but I think was it the Temptations?
I think. You see,
No,
I
no.
really got onto Smokey when he was a solo,
Solo. He is more
right?
known for solo.
Yeah.
It was another group. It wasn't the
Earth,
Temptations.
Wind, and
So
Fire?
we
No. Mm-mm.
no, it's called the Miracles. It was a group
Okay, there we
we
go.
never heard of them. So he's
Yeah,
more as a
that's
solo
why Smokey
artist,
went on his own.
as a solo. Anyway, so a few weeks ago, um, he is facing a legal battle because four of his former housekeepers filed a lawsuit against him and his wife, seeking $50 million in damages.
Wow.
The women, I and they're all anonymous, allege repeated incidences of sexual assault and even rape by Smokey Robinson for several years, with some allegations going back to 2007. So it looks like a string of his housekeepers who worked in the house, they put it in one lawsuit, which makes it stronger. It's better than one lawsuit or four different separate. Like it's more when you consolidate a consistency in stories across four different people,
Mm-hmm.
it's more even
Not
more
looking
compelling.
good.
It's not
Not
looking
looking
good,
good.
and tracing the behavior from 2007 up into 2004 across the various ladies houseworkers. So they claims the assaults, the some of the themes is that it often occurred when they're alone in the house with him, and one woman even alleged of being assaulted at least 20 times. I'm like, damn, that is wild. So anyway, so that
Mm.
happens. It was crazy to hear because he's like 85-year-old man. Like, what? Like, sit down somewhere. Like, what are you doing?
I don't understand it.
And
Um.
also why his wife is also included in it as well. I'm sure it's both of them, but you're saying that it also alleges false imprisonment, gender violence, labor violations related to wages, breaks, meal times, and overtime pay. So I see this, and it's clearly they're taking advantage of some undocumented people,
Mm-hmm.
which is very common. That is actually another form of trafficking. Is labor, is where
Yeah.
you bring people who are undocumented and you threaten them with immigration and stuff
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
mistreat them or not pay them on time and do all types
Mm-hmm.
of things. It's actually a very common thing, unfortunately, and so that's obviously terrible as well. They have denied, both him and his wife have denied the allegations publicly, and have filed a countersuit
Mm-hmm.
recently.
Mm-hmm.
They filed a defamation lawsuit against the four former housekeepers and their lawyers, seeking 500 million in
Oh my
damages.
God! You think Smokey Robinson's had 500 million? Please.
No,
I
so
know he's wealthy, but like, come
that's
on.
his
Oh, he is. Oh,
counterclaim.
okay, good. I was
So
gonna say.
they're suing him for 50 million, but
Oh.
Smokey and his wife said, yeah, Let me
Let's
up that.
let me just put a next zero. See?
Yeah, he put a next zero on it and counterclaimed, which is there's a message there. It's pretty much drop this shit or a
Mm-hmm.
deal with this lawsuit, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the message I'm getting with that extra zero tacked on.
Mm-hmm.
They claim the Robinsons claim the allegations were fabricated, and it's a part of a scheme to take their money and destroy their reputation. The countersuit includes, so they have receipts,
Okay. This is what I
text
want to know.
messages,
Mm-hmm.
and photos allegedly showing friendly interactions, vacations, and gift exchanges with the women to contradict the claims of abuse in the housekeeper's lawsuit. Obviously, of course, his legal team has filed a motion to dismiss the women's initial lawsuit, arguing they should not be allowed to remain anonymous after making public accusations. Which I agree.
I do
I
too.
think
Yeah.
I think when you do something like this, you have to stand in it. Like
Yeah.
if somebody did something wrong to you, yes, you need to fight for retribution or whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't do it at the time where you could actually press charges, and so now you're doing it now as a lawsuit to get payment for your pain, which I'm not
Mm-hmm.
against, to be honest. I don't personally, some people don't like that, but I don't actually have a problem with it. But you have to stand in it, because that gives you credibility, to me personally. when
Yeah.
you when you put your name and face to a lawsuit against like something like this,
Mm-hmm.
like these like serious charges,
Mm-hmm.
for me it just gives you more weight. Listen, I get it, especially if it's a four of them. I get
Mm-hmm.
people can be scared, like even with, like, say, let's think of an old one, like Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a nefarious one where I could see where you'd want to be anonymous, at least up until the trial. But at some point in
Right.
time, your face needs to be
Mm-hmm.
shown. Just for me, it doesn't have to, but I just think it makes your case more stronger.
Yeah. Well, I always like, I'm not trying to victim shame at
Hmm.
all, but in the
Hmm.
same breath, if you're going to
Hmm.
have enough courage to sit down with a lawyer and press these type of accusations against anybody, I don't care what their status is.
Yeah.
You need to come out 10 toes down.
Yeah. Look them in the face and say, "You
Yeah,
did this
I'm
to
not
me."
going to do that. I if right. So whenever I see situations like this, I always get a little skeptical, only because the fact that you don't want to show the world who you are, I have to think, are you doing this on the side of right, or are you
Hmm.
doing this on the side of money? Because
Money,
if you're trying
exactly.
to just get paid out of this situation, I could see why you don't want anybody to know who you are. I get that. But if you're
Yes.
actually trying to stand on right, right? Like, this is wrong. You should not be able to do this to any other person. And
Hmm.
I'm going to fight to make sure that you don't. Then putting out your name is the least of your worry.
Hmm.
It's the least of your worry, right? Because you have a long battle to fight over somebody who is more powerful than you.
And
So,
I get that's why they maybe do, like, initially back in the day they do,
this is
but.
Smokey Robinson we're talking about here. Okay. I love me some Smokey. Okay.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
But the day of Smokey is gone. Okay.
Long
He's
gone,
85.
long gone.
Okay. All right. The other day I saw a clip of him doing a concert, and I was like, the man could barely walk across the stage. You understand?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna discredit, his legacy. He has one,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's nowhere near to where it once was. And I'm sorry to say, but the generation that he appeals to are either retired or dying.
Yeah.
So, and that's just facts. I'm not trying to be
And
cold
then
about it, but it's
also, I don't
facts.
want to get into logistics, but an 80-year-old man overpowering, even
I
if
don't
you're,
even see it possible
I
because
don't
I
want to
saw
even pick.
Smokey on the stage.
You're like,
Smokey could barely move across the stage good. Okay?
so it's like,
Okay? So you want me to believe this man overpowered you, who is probably younger than him? Most
yeah,
likely younger than him.
even if they're in their 50s, you're
Yeah,
still much
he's
stronger than, like.
85. He's 85. He's 85. The man probably has all sorts of aches and pains all over everybody's body.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not saying it couldn't happen.
Yeah, no,
It
anything's
it
possible.
might. Maybe Smokey had some drugs or something that gave him
Yeah,
the
man
extra oomph.
strength.
I
Yeah,
don't
man
know,
strength is different. So
right?
I don't
I
know.
don't know. But when I saw Smokey on the stage, I don't know. I
I
don't know.
don't know.
I think you people don't want to tell us your name. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm gonna keep my eyes to that because Smokey said not today.
Mm-mm.
Okay, Smokey said, yeah, watch me. Me I put an extra zero upon that. Bye. Smokey said, not me. You ain't pulling me down this whole trick bag. You ain't doing it to
Mhm.
me.
So
You
we'll
know
see where this case goes now that he has the counter suing, which is intimidating.
it is.
So we'll
But
see
if you're
what.
on the side of right, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what he's doing,
Yes, exactly.
right?
I'm with you. So we'll see what their next move is. Next move is now that he's come back with this
Like Smokey has it
defamations.
like that. They're asking him for 50 mil. Smokey has it like
I don't even know.
that.
I mean,
Just
he
look
was a
up for
songwriter as
Smokey.
well, so he probably has a lot of. He wasn't just a singer; like he produced and songwrite, which means that he
Yes, but these
probably.
are songs of our parents' day.
That's true.
Okay, I don't see no teeny boppers out here bumping Smokey Robinson. Okay, so I have to look up his net worth. Oh, okay. Well, according to the Googles,
Mm-hmm.
he's 150 mil
Okay.
estimated.
And it's
Estimated,
always high based on what the celebrities say. It's always higher than what it really is.
right? But I'm gonna give the fact that he's not as popular. I'm gonna say he's maybe 100 million solid. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
because just for the credit, because he has some legacy songs. I think when you have legacy songs, you always have, and you own a large portion of those songs.
That's it. That's
You're better off
hmm
than
that's the part
most
is owning
singers
them.
if you're just a
hmm
singer alone.
That's
So
true.
we'll see.
We'll see what
But
happens with
the fact that
Smokey.
he's still on stage, things can't be that great. If
Well,
he's very
barely, barely.
like he should be able to relax off. Either she doesn't need to go on the stage. It's only I guess if he loves to, or he does like a little something something every once in a while.
Yeah, but it should be like a real close, intimate concert. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That he provides to people because Smokey, we need to go and listen. Go and look at the man could barely move
You don't need to
across
tell
that
me.
stage,
I mean, I've seen him in award shows where he's just giving an award, and I'm just like,
right?
damn, he's like, his voice is very low and
Right?
weak sounding, and he's very stiff. I don't know if it's because of all the surgery he's had on his face.
Yeah,
Um,
that too. Lord God.
yeah, but
Um,
anyway, we'll
we'll see
see
what
what the
happens.
next
Yeah.
move is for the people, for the housekeepers that are suing him. We'll see what the next
Mm-hmm.
move is. Right now, I don't have a comment one way or another until I see what they come back with.
Mm-hmm. I
All
am
right.
skeptical. I am skeptical. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Sure am.
So
Mm-hmm.
we talked about Diddy in our last episode, and again we're just doing quick. We're not. It's a lot. We say I'm gonna keep on saying this. It's a lot,
It's a lot.
but little tidbits that are interesting. We'll talk about little interesting things that come up. Um, from the case. We won't do a deep dive. Maybe when the case is done, we do a whole Diddy episode. I think
Mm.
that's probably how we
Yeah.
tackle it.
It seems like there's new information every day, like new
Yeah,
information that we
new and
never
old.
know of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week, everybody's focus was on his old assistant's Capricorn Clark's
Mm-hmm.
testimony, as well as Kid Cudi's testimony, and it was the thing that people are talking about his assistant's testimony
Mm-hmm.
is like she was in tears for a lot of her
Mm-hmm.
time speaking about the incidences, and she talks about the grueling hours she was setting up rooms, getting drugs. So you can
Mm.
see why her testimony is very, very important, because it's showing the operation.
Yeah.
So With Cassie, it was showing kind of like the control and manipulation and
Mhm.
also the sex trafficking
Mhm.
evidence. But with the assistant, it's showing kind of like the ring. He had
Mhm.
people when you're up. That's kind of where the RICO thing comes in, right?
Mhm.
It's like you have a
Mhm.
system that's supporting these criminal behavior, whether it's drugs, trafficking, the sex trafficking, and she's one of three assistants that will take the court, but she's one of the more prominent ones, and
Mhm.
she was also around during the whole Cassie debacle, and she talks about him, quote unquote, kidnapping Cassie.
Mhm.
It's crazy, but
Mhm.
I think she was very upset not only of the bad treatment, but also as well as after she left. I don't know if he fired her or she left, but he pretty much tainted her name. She was blackballed,
Yeah.
and so she was blackballed to the point where even up until a couple years ago, she was asking him for a job because she tried to talk. She went everywhere in the industry, and finally, Jimmy Iovine, we know him. He's big. He's on the label. I think it's Aftermath and no Interscope. He's a big guy at Interscope, and
Mhm.
he's like, you need to fix this thing with Diddy. So that's how she knew that she can't. She as known. She's a known person in the industry. She
Mhm.
could not get a job.
Can you imagine?
She's
Can you
very
imagine?
competent, very capable woman
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
what she does, and Diddy has put her in a place where she can get a job. So she was begging him for a job 2 years ago.
Can
That
you
was the
imagine?
defense. That was like, the defense was, they have to poke holes. So like,
Of
well,
course.
you're asking Diddy for a job 2 years ago. Well, listen, I need to beg because he's ruined my name with everybody else. So if this is
Yeah.
where I have to work, can you imagine you have to do that? She mentions that she
Mhm.
would start from 7, wouldn't go to bed to 4. She developed alopecia from stress.
Jeez, man.
The things that he had her doing, like the drugs and the baby oil and all the weird stuff that he was doing, she was had to be a part of it. And it's wild.
One of the things that she said that she had to be a part of, which I think
Mm,
that the prosecution is brilliant as far as I'm concerned,
yeah.
because she has collaborated with everything that Cassie has
Yes.
testified to date.
Yes.
And there was
Yes.
one point in her testimony where she was able to show that she had to coerce Cassie to come back to Diddy,
Mm-hmm.
that he kept her, this is the accusations about kidnapping, kept her in a car until Cassie would come out of the house. She had to call Cassie and beg her and beg her and beg. So it shows that no matter what she did, she's going to be in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what she did, he
Mm-hmm.
made sure that she was in the
He
wrong.
threatened her life. He
Well, he
threatened
made
he
sure
said
she
she had to stay
collaborated.
in the
She was
house.
a
Yeah.
part of it. She was a part.
Mm-hmm.
Like Diddy, he got sloppy, but he's still smart
Mm-hmm.
because he made sure that whoever he was getting to do his dirty work,
They
their
were a part of
hands
it.
were dirty. Now your
Mm-hmm.
hands are dirty, right? So you can't say X, Y, Z. You were a part of the dirt.
Yep.
So that's like manipulation on
One.
a master level, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you you have to obviously put these people in a position where they think that they're going to lose something, whether it's their life, their job, their money, whatever, and then you get their hands dirty so that it's harder for them to step away and say anything because their hands were dirty. So now you were in the act as well,
Yeah,
right? So
he meant the other bomb she dropped outside of the how she participated in the Cassie thing, and this was tying into Kid Cudi's testimony as well.
mm,
Is he kidnapped Clark herself? He kidnapped her, Capricorn Clark. That's a beautiful
mm,
name, actually,
right?
Capricorn.
I know.
Um, and she's actually a very beautiful lady, even at her big age. I don't know how old she is. She looks like late 40s, early 50s,
Mm,
but she was dressed down. I know I shouldn't talk about that. She's traumatized, but it's something I noticed.
yeah,
Um,
but that's not by accident.
Yes,
That's
it's a
not by
protection.
accident.
Yeah, you dress down. It's a form of protection too. Like you
Well,
dress.
actually,
Mm,
from the prosecution's perspective,
mhm.
when people dress down, you're more relatable to the people who
No,
are
not I'm
listening.
not saying dress down. Like I mean dress down to the nines. Like she
Oh,
high
okay.
fashion,
Oh,
high.
okay.
She was looking very very polished,
Oh,
very
polish.
very
Okay,
high
okay.
fashion, high fashion. Sorry, I didn't say. I meant dress down. Like she
Well,
dressed down to the nines.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're putting your abuser behind bars. I would dress up too.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, and there's a lot of cameras and all that. So anyway, so yeah, so he kidnapped her in 2011 when he found out that Cassie was and Cuddy were dating. He said he had a gun in his hand when he went
yeah,
to her house. The man is a madman. He said,
crazy.
"Get dressed." He said to her, "Get dressed." She testified, "Get dressed. We're gonna go kill him."
Can you
And when
imagine
she said she didn't want to go, Combs, Diddy said, "I don't give a f what you
what
want to
you think?
do. Go get dressed." He
I
said,
didn't
"Go
ask
put
you what
on
you
your
think,
clothes."
right? We're going to go and kill him. Let's go.
So
Yeah,
she stayed in the SUV to warn Cassie, who was with Cuddy, in the nearby hotel. So she warned her, while Clark, Diddy went up to the security guard, to the house, and
hmm
so that's how Cuddy found out that he was in his house and all this stuff. So it went on, and I'm not going to go too much.
mm.
She was describing this incident. It was crazy. She was crying the whole time. I think she probably has a lot of. She's probably thinking in her head, like, I can't believe I did this shit. Like, what? You know
Right,
what I mean? If
right.
I were her, I'd be like, how the. It's because she's probably thinking the guy man had a gun. It's like either life or do this. But she kind of was on. Is your life better after doing that? Like
I
kind of
know,
like
I know.
she's probably wishing she called his bluff.
What I've always wondered, right, is that Diddy treated everybody like shit, right, and nobody tried to attempt to kill this man. Not to say that I think that's what should have happened, but like I just this man had power that we can't even fathom because I don't understand all these people. Nobody tried to kill this man.
Right?
Nobody tried to hurt this man. Nobody tried to do anything. The power is ridiculous of this man.
It's
It really
ridiculous.
is. And I think the prosecution is definitely they're proving that exact point that the power is unfathomable from a person's like just a regular person's perspective because nobody tried to hurt this man. That's what always blew my mind, right? Is that there's at times people, it's either when you're backed up against a wall, you either, flight or fight, right? And nobody fought.
Right.
Nobody fought
And
back.
he knows how to create. I think it's easier to do with women, so that would, but I'm sure he also had men at his bidding too, clearly. But it's crazy when you see how he broke down Capricorn Clark, how she testified saying that he told her that she'd never work again, that he'd make her kill herself, and like I told you, she could not find employment, so she did go back to him. She returned to work for him in 2016 as her creative director. She also was fired after the kidnapping story. She was fired. That's when she finally left. He fired her because she reported the kidnapping incident to like the higher execs. Although the execs work for him, so there you go. They're not going to say anything. But
Mm-hmm.
she did. She even called her mother and called Cassie's mom and said, he's beating the shit out of your daughter. Please help her. I can't call the police, but you can. So she did what she could as a person who's still
Mm-hmm.
trying to save her ass.
Right.
I don't know how people feel about that, but at the end of the day, we all have to think about our livelihoods, and obviously hers was 100% compromised either way. So
Mm-hmm.
I that's another reason why I think she's breaking down. She's probably like, I did all this, and to what
For
end?
what?
To what end? And
You're no
so
farther ahead, my dear. You're
that was
dressing you're
her.
you're dressing up fashion to go to court. What you
Hmm.
mean? Like you're not any better, if you
Hmm.
ask me.
Hmm.
So but hey, this when I heard her testimony,
Hmm.
I at points I was like, Lord God,
Hmm.
what this woman had to have seen. See, we're only hearing
This is
from
what she saw.
Cassie's perspective, right? But
Mm-hmm.
this assistant had her hand in everything.
Mm-hmm.
She had her hand in everything,
And
even
she's
things that
just
Cassie
focused
didn't
on
know
what
about.
and she's just focused on what she's subpoenaed to talk about. Trust
Can
me, I think she's
you?
seen a she's not
No,
saying she's not talking about a lot of other shit she's seen.
right?
They're just
Right?
focused on what's going on with Cassie and Cuddy and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
She's not really getting into the dirt because, to your point, she's incriminating herself if she were
Yeah.
to talk about anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was her testimony. The only one thing I'll bring up about Cuddy's testimony was the way the way he showed up, the way it was kind of fun. Like, I read it. Obviously we're not watching it. I
Mm-hmm.
read the statements that he made, and he's like, the guy was standing in there like a Marvel supervillain, and just the way he was describing the way he was describing everything was just so funny. That's so Cuddy. But yeah, it is quite serious, and he's actually facing some backlash because I think as of today I heard that Young Thug was like pretty much insinuating that he was a rat, which I don't agree with. um and I don't agree with it because calling him a rat, because first, he was subpoenaed, although he doesn't have to say anything. That's not the reason. It's more like he was not involved in any crime with
Mm-hmm.
Diddy. He's just a regular other. He's an artist, but he's not involved in any of what Diddy had going on
Mm-hmm.
outside of dating his ex girlfriend that he thought was the ex girlfriend of Diddy, not really knowing what was going on,
Right?
right? And he does say that. He does say, she made it seem like they were over when they started dating. Like, he did not know that they were like still carrying on with whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um and so that's that. And then finally, what I was going to say outside of Young Thug criticizing him is
Young Thug, I think you need to go sit down
he
someplace,
needs
okay, baby?
him of all people,
You need to go. You just got freedom the other day, so I think you need to go sit down.
him
Yeah.
of all people, I think he needs to be quiet as a mouse.
Yeah, you
He
shouldn't be
needs to be
speaking on anything
quiet
called
as a
trial.
mouse.
Okay? Nothing called trial should you be having an opinion about. Okay,
Hmm.
how many years again do you have to serve for probation? Right. How
Right.
about we focus on that?
Yeah, I had something that I forgot. So yeah, that's where we're at now with those were the big stories with the
Oh,
Diddy
and
cases.
Cassie, her baby.
Oh, Shakassi had her baby. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Congratulations to her. God bless.
Three beautiful
Um,
children. She had a
yep.
son, a little boy, you know.
I pray she has many more blessings and can continue to find happiness.
I don't know.
Um,
Someone said to me, I don't know if it was you, but
hmm,
you know, how many times this man kicked her in her stomach, B?
yeah.
And she still, God blessed her with three children. Beautiful, healthy children.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And a loving husband who's very
What?
supportive
Don't
of
play
her.
with her husband. Don't play. He don't play about Cassie. Okay? He looks like
And
he's
now they have
on nine.
now they're sitting on 30 million. They're gonna have a good life. If you're
Right?
smart with the money, they're good.
Okay. And he I think he put out a statement, if I'm not correct,
He
but
did. It was a wonderful statement.
right?
Get
Right?
you a man. Get you a man who defends you like that. That's all I gotta
This
say.
right here. And I liked the part, there was a part where he's like, he was kind of talking about this closure is
Hmm.
over. We're going to
Hmm.
go and live our lives now, you know?
Yep.
So please let us do that. Right. And I was just like,
And
look
that's
at
to
you
show
going
you
ahead
that
and protecting
that's to
her.
show you the difference between a confident man and somebody like
Right?
Diddy.
Okay.
Like, we did, and that's why you remember there's rumors now coming around. They're describing his genitalia, which has been, I don't know where, how, and why,
Yeah.
but this is what they're saying.
Hmm.
Allegedly, it's like a tootsie roll,
It's a Tootsie Roll.
length and girth, tootsie
Right?
roll. So
This is probably why he had the male prostitutes with the big,
yes,
the big
that's
D's.
it. It would explain a lot.
Yeah,
It would
envy.
explain a lot,
Yeah,
to be
very
honest.
envious. Yeah.
So we'll move on from that. And again, we're gonna see how this ends. It looks like the judge, I believe the judge wants this case to be wrapped up by June.
Yeah.
So we'll probably know what's happening sometime next month.
Yeah. There's another few
Yeah,
weeks
just
of
another few weeks.
yeah, testimonies and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it's been crazy. So we'll move on to Offset and Cardi. Oh
Oh,
God, Lord, even I'm surprised. I don't know why.
right?
I am surprised. So people have
Cardi
been
is
talking
crashing out.
about recently, yeah, and her new she's out with her new man. I'm like,
Mhm.
yes, girl. Anyway, recently Offset has made an amendment of their divorce proceedings in which he's now asking Cardi B to pay him spousal support. I will note that he does not request a specific amount in the documents, but there could be reasons for that because people are already tearing apart for even asking for spousal support.
Right?
More or less, if he were to put a dollar amount, which he'd put a crazy dollar amount if he really
Mhm.
put what he wanted,
Mhm.
as well as joint custody with the children. And I'm just like, Offset, this is a new low. Like,
Right?
you have been
Okay.
crashing out about this, but this is a new low as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Here's my reasons. Okay, we could think of another example. The biggest example we have of this kind of foolishness is Mary J. Blige and her ex-husband.
Mhm.
And he's
He
not
is
even he wasn't even anybody. She made him somebody by making
yeah.
him her he was her manager, but that's she definitely made him elevated his profile. But it's
And his bank account.
Offset,
Shoot.
yeah, exactly, and in his bank account, and she filed, and but legally, you could see how that could happen because yes, that man did not have nothing close to what Mary J lifestyle before he married her. Got married and
Not
lived
even
with her,
close.
not even close. So I could see a judge doing that. It sucks for her, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, we didn't have a prenup, and he got screwed over.
Mhm.
So now we move over to this now. Offset was famous and doing well off before he got with Cardi. Yes, he definitely was elevated into more pop culture, I think, by being in a relationship with Cardi B, but still on your own right, you are successful, a millionaire, and generating income even as a solo artist, right?
Mhm.
So now for you to come now and ask for money from Cardi B, it's like you just want to piss her off.
Yeah.
Or like Charlemagne said on the Breakfast Club, he's actually broke.
Yeah, I
One or
believe
the
that.
other.
I believe both. I think he
Like for
wants a
you
bit
to
of
do
both.
this as a man, you things have to be bad.
Uh, yeah, but
It's a
you know,
signal to
it.
say, "Oh, I
Yeah,
don't have it like that."
yeah. Or you're petty as
And
you're
yes,
petty as shit, man. Like
mm,
because the thing that crossed me with Offset in this whole situation is he's one of those guys that will throw rocks and hide their hands.
yep,
So he will push her buttons. She'll crash out on the internet. And then he'll be like, I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know
mm-hmm,
why she's going on like this. You know, and I feel like this is just another ploy. Like I feel like this is just another way for him to try to break her down, break down, you know, her credibility in the streets. You
yeah,
know, we've seen men do this where they try to destroy their exes. Tiana Taylor. It's
oh
something
locks.
right? Can you imagine?
She has a new video coming out soon. We'll talk about it next episode.
Right?
People
But
are
can
in
you
up
imagine
uproar.
Can you imagine Iman Sherpert coming to say, "Oh, I want spousal support"?
Didn't
Right? So I feel
mm,
like it's a tactic to try to get to Cardi in a way where, unfortunately, Cardi, she's steady on this internet, crashing out left, right, and damn center,
mm,
and he just wants to make her look bad. Right?
mm,
But I don't think he really knows who Cardi is because Cardi don't give a shit. She don't care. She's shown
mm,
us that regardless of my fame or my infamy, I am going to crash out when something's wrong.
mm.
Period.
Yeah,
And
she's been
so
doing that.
that that that's Cardi. Like we
Yeah.
expect that from Cardi. If Cardi stayed too quiet, you'd be like, "Girl, what's going on? Is someone threatening you in the background?" Because it's just not her. And I feel like this is just a tactic to make her look bad and not appealing to
Mm,
other people. You know, trying to discredit her and make her look away. Cardi, girl, he's brokes. You know he's brokes because when this whole divorce situation came about, people were already speculating that he was broke
mm-hmm,
and that he's fumbling the bag because Cardi is the star. Out of the two of them, he might have started out the star and Cardi was up and coming, but when they ended, Cardi was the star. She was taking care of the household, she's holding down the bit. She was the one that was saving. She wasn't blowing her money. And, you know, I could see Cardi being really smart with her money. And I could see she's gonna invest in businesses. She's gonna make sure Cardi ain't trying to be broke. You understand what I'm telling you? This is the girl who came from the strip club. You think she's gonna let anybody make her broke again? So I feel like this is just his way of trying to get under her skin. And in the same breath, you might get some coin off of it. Whether it is spousal support or whether it's publicity or people are talking about Offset again. Because if you notice, they don't really mention Offset unless they talk about Cardi.
Yeah, it's
You
all
know,
this.
right.
That's where all the petty is
And
coming
that's
in.
the pettiness right there, right? And so, unfortunately, Cardi, you kind of fell into the trap, and I think he knows you that you will crash out, and you've been crashing out. And girl, you need to come off the internet, please. You're giving him too much leverage in court. Please,
Yeah,
just come off,
exactly.
right? And so it's sad that he's going this route, and it's sad that the demise of the relationship is panning out right in front of us. Like
Mm,
it's a lot because it's like we know Cardi is gonna be all right. She already
yeah.
got her new man going to
Mm-hmm.
the court side in the
Mm-hmm.
basketball games. Okay, my girl looking all like like
Yeah, yeah,
schoolgirlish, like
yeah.
she's so happy, like my
And
man.
it's funny. This gets released not too long after some of those
Mm,
photos are
yeah.
happening.
So and then I think he's also being petty where he wants to knock her down
Hmm.
because she's too happy, right? He's miserable. So she has to be miserable too.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
she's showing him like, not today. I'm at the basketball game with my man. Looking good, looking fly. So I'm not gonna be upset. And she's laughing and kikiing up with him, and he's making sure she's there and secure and everything. And it rubbed him the wrong way. Offset, that used to be you, and it's not anymore. And so you're feeling kind of, you know, a little salty and things. So now we have to
Mm.
throw something at her to make her look bad or whatever. I think it's antics. And ultimately, like, I think Offset, you need to go find a life. Like, you need to go either go to the studio and make an album or do
Yeah, go
something.
make an album. Go
Yeah,
do
like, go do
something.
something with yourself because you're looking real crufty. Like, if
Yeah,
I were a woman, I wouldn't. You're not
he'd be
appealing. You're not
looking
hot
unappealing
anymore.
right now. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Because now I know that you're gonna try to come after my coin. Mm.
Okay, so yeah, well, we'll see where that goes. But I just thought that was really
And
looking
if he
really. That's a
does get
bad.
child support, I hope it's not a lot. I really
I
do.
know. I hope. Yeah, he's just looking. He looks a mess. I don't think he makes too much money to really get it. To be honest, I think she has some things in her corner that she could fight that. But
Yeah. Cardi, hide the money in your kid's name.
quick
Put the
thing,
money in the
quick thing,
kid's name. Okay.
quick quick thing before our last headline before we go
Mm-hmm.
into our call out. So Rihanna's dad passed away today.
Yes, I heard.
So he's 70 years old. We won't get into it, but yeah, just breaking news. So they she was
Right?
her and her brother were seen going to the hospital. So yeah, that wasn't on the list, but
Mm-hmm.
just
No, I
calling it
saw it
out
today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My condolences, Rihanna.
to Rihanna and
Um,
the Fenty fam.
yeah, it
All
seems
right.
like you were close with your dad, so I know that this is
Eventually, they weren't close before, but I
towards the
think
ending.
yeah,
Yeah.
towards the ending they mended that relation. So quick thing. So Justin Bieber's wife E, Justin's been going through a lot in the media. He's clearly crashing out. Looks like he's
Mm-hmm.
under this influence of something, as well as money problems. His money problems are becoming public, but this story might be something that be helpful to his family. So
Mm-hmm.
his wife, she started a brand. When did she start this brand? I don't know. A couple years ago. It's called Rhode, Rhode.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a body skincare
Mm-hmm.
line, and so she sold the budget makeup powerhouse. She sold the beauty brand to Elf Beauty.
Wow.
We know Elf Beauty for $1 billion.
So she started it in June of 2022. So it's only a
So
3-year
three
old
years,
brand.
yeah, 3-year-old brand that she got to a place of selling it to 1 billion to Elf Beauty.
Wow.
So Damn, that's first of all, let
right?
me see. But she racked up last year. So usually when brands are bought, they look at by another or taken over by bigger brands, they look at the sales and profits of it without
Hmm.
them coming in, right? Excuse me. So last year alone, the brand made over $212 million in net sales.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, okay, they know what they're doing. Obviously, they made this decision was had they had all the numbers and stuff to make it, but I'm like, 1 billy, even
Right?
for her, like 1 billy, that's big money for anybody.
Right? And I really think that the brand did well because she pushed the brand, and
Yeah,
her brand
hmm,
helped that
of
brand,
course, of
right?
course.
So it's going to be interesting to see how Elf evolves that brand.
Yeah, and she's going to actually stay on as a chief creative director and head of innovation, which is always
Okay.
good when you kind of buy over a company from a big with a from an owner with that has a lot of stake in the brand.
Mhm.
So it makes sense. So she's going to stay on in those roles. So she's getting paid. Plus, she got a Billy.
Right?
So congrats to her and Justin. Hopefully that can help the family out at least
Yeah.
in the area of financial issues that her husband is facing right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, congrats to them.
Yeah, and one thing I never like to tell people how to spend their money,
Hmm.
but Haley, your husband needs help.
Yeah.
Like serious help. And I don't know if you need to, send him away somewhere where he can have some solitude and closeness to God. But what I see Justin Bieber looking like these days, he's wearing it on him.
Hmm.
Whatever he's going through, he's wearing it on him. So I
Hmm.
hope you take some of that money and help your husband because he needs it. He seems like he needs it. He seems like he needs somebody in his corner right now.
Hmm.
And that really is invested in him and his well-being and his mental health. Because the other day I saw a picture of Justin Bieber and I was like, "Who's that? Who is that? Who is that?" Because that's not him. That's not him. He looks like the life is being drained from him, and it's sad because we see when he was such a young act coming into the music industry and how much. So Haley, girl, help out your husband, please. He needs a little helps. I know
Hmm.
he's right now. You guys are probably going through your own little situations or whatever, but he needs help. If you love him, he needs help. Please, please help him. I worry for him because when I
Yeah, I worry for him.
I
I do.
looked at him the other day and I was like, who is that? That's not no Justin Bieber. The man looked like he's almost 50. I said, he looked like the drugs is really wearing him down. The stress of this trial is wearing him down. Not vocalizing what happened to him is wearing him down. Like you can see it.
Mm.
The man is wearing it on him, B. Please, Haley, please, I beg you, help out Mr. Bieber. He needs your help right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's it on our headlines.
Yes. But we are gonna go into the call out. This is
They
gonna be
call out.
it's the call. Yes, our one and only segment for today. We're gonna enter into the call out. This is where we have to put each other into the hot seat and ask questions that have to be answered. And so I'm gonna start off. And what are some core values slash beliefs of the West Indian culture that help to shape you? I'll go first.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
One of them is you don't eat from every and anybody. You hear?
Mm.
My mom taught me that, and the other day I was so thankful to God that my mom taught me this. You understand? So the other day at work, hmm, so there's a woman that I work closely with. She's new,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what if she's trying to make an impress. I don't know what she's trying to do, but my girl decided that she was gonna bake something from home and bring it in and give it to people.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what my mom taught me, this
Mm-hmm.
is a, this is a belief that I was raised up in. You don't eat from any and anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular woman's office, it's like a tornado has come and turned it upside down.
Mhm.
So for me, it shows that you're not organized, you're not cleanly. She's left mugs that have stale coffee that are growing mold. So you
Mm-mm.
go home now and you want to make something and bring it. So I never ate it. It
Mhm.
went right into the trash. It didn't leave the office. It definitely didn't come to my house or in my
Mhm.
car. And I found out later that another one of my coworkers found not just one hair, because I spoke with that coworker and they told me that there were several hairs, not just one. I thought it was just one. That's what I
Yeah.
heard. But
Yeah.
when I got to talk to her, she's like, no, 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 no. It was like a chia pet. Like it was like
What
she's like, there's
the?
a whole bunch of hair in it. And I
Mm-mm.
said, for real? And she's like, I saw two hairs. One that was like it looked like it could be an animal,
Lord me God.
and the other probably human. And I was like, how could you tell the difference? Now this particular coworker has two dogs.
Mhm.
So she's well versed with like shorter hairs and it looks too
Mhm.
curly. And, she's just like, this looks like maybe a pet or some sort of hair. And this is from a human because it was long
Mm.
in the food.
God.
Okay.
Ooh.
So you
Ooh.
see, this is something that has molded me and shaped me. And I am so glad that I have that because I couldn't possibly imagine getting that uh, pastry or
Mhm.
baked good and seeing hair because I would have lost it on her. Okay,
You might have lost your job that day.
that day. You see, so God is good. He didn't give me the one that had all the hair, and I didn't even search it because I was like, I'm not eating this, so
Yeah.
I don't need to open it. It's going right into the trash, And my mom always taught me as a child, like you got to be careful with what you eat from other people. You don't know how they keep their house. And
Yes. Yeah.
another thing she taught me is you don't know the energy that they're putting into the food,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes people are bad mind and will put that bad mind into your food, right? And you don't understand there's a spiritual war happening around us that we don't see. And you don't even want to bring that to cross over the threshold in your house because you
Mhm.
don't know what is attached to it, you know? As a kid, I was always like, Lord, my mom is so, oh my Lord. I always thought my mom was just ridiculous, but she's
Yeah,
knowledgeable,
because you love when you're a kid, you just love going to your friend's
right?
house and
Right? All up
and
in their
eating something.
pantry. Okay, Becky always had the good treats. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, give me a fruit roll ups, but you don't know how the people, and I'm glad that I was trained that way. My dad goes to the extreme with it. He doesn't like to eat from anybody. If he does eat out, it has to be at a restaurant.
Okay.
Because he knows restaurants have standards that they have to
Yeah.
keep. My dad's the first one looking for the pass sign on the door before
Oh,
he
that's so
goes into the
funny.
restaurant. He doesn't play. He doesn't like to eat from anybody, and
Mhm.
my mom kind of, I think they kind of, because they're West Indian, they kind of
Mhm.
grew up thinking this and knowing this, and
Mhm.
they've kind of shaped me
Mhm.
to believe the same. So, what's one thing,
Um. There's so many, but
right?
that's shaped me.
I picked that out because it just happened the other day. And I thought to
Yeah.
myself, I almost lost my job. This heifer, because I would have cussed her right out too.
Yeah, no, that's one. Obviously, yeah, that's a universal like Caribbean
Right?
one. So definitely, I have that as well. It is a good one. As an adult, I do believe that's one that yes, I do heed that.
Right?
As an adult, because there's lots of ones that I heed or don't heed,
Mm-hmm.
but that's definitely one I go with. I guess it'd be something along the lines of like, don't chat your business, your home
Teeth.
business to people. Don't chat your
Okay.
business to people,
Okay.
right? And that's whatever is going on in your home. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I see the danger. I know the reason of that is that
Mm-hmm.
because some people, information is power, information is
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're arming people with certain knowledge that maybe they can do harm to,
Mm-hmm.
to your
Mm-hmm.
family.
Or use it
So,
against you at the
or
very
use it
least.
against you in some
Yeah.
way that's.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like you have, like, it's more like being careful with surface level relationships.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're making a friendship or a relationship or something, you time it. You make
Yeah.
sure you're in a
Yeah.
safe place to do that. You just
Right.
don't be so open with it. And
Exactly.
so that's one that I think now that I'm a little bit more cognizant of.
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
and along with the one that you shared, I can't remember
Mhm.
anything else right now, but there's so many of them.
There are. And I was like, because I had this already in my mind, but
Mhm.
I was thinking, man, how many things my parents, and as a child, I was just like, these people are crazy. Like,
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking
why?
about?
Everything is a problem. Everything is a watch out. Everything is a
Mhm.
can't. But
Mhm.
now, as a grown up, I see why they were telling me that. And I see how it's really good advice for anybody to
Mhm.
carry. But I think that
Yeah.
in the West Indies, this is like passed down from generation to generation to generation.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
uh, I didn't have a choice. And you know what? I'm glad because now I know better, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and I explain it to my own daughter so
Yeah.
that she understands why. Because back then they didn't explain nothing. They just said, don't eat from people. That was it. You're like, but
Yeah.
why? But right? You didn't understand why. But yeah, so anyway, that's my question.
Okay. So
What's
my
yours?
question was okay, so we're busy working people, we have our
Mm-hmm.
commitments and everything like that. My question has to do with, if you had the time, what would be a new hobby you would take up? And I will start with mine.
Okay.
Um I think it's split between, I actually have two. So one would be something to do with language learning.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then the other would be like learning like Spanish or French or something, like putting more time and
Mm-hmm.
dedicating time to actually getting proficient in those
Mm-hmm.
languages.
Mm-hmm.
Because I travel, and it's nice to have like, it's so funny. You go to a lot of these countries, people speak two or three languages.
Right?
And I'm just like, with my basic self with speaking one
Right?
language, barely knowing a few words in French.
Right?
So so it's something that always is on my mind. And
Mm-hmm.
then second would be, well, we have this podcast, but I think I would do another podcast because I love podcasts and
Mm-hmm.
podcasting. Would be kind of like in some type of sleep aid. So one of there's a couple of podcasts I listen to before I go to, like, to help me to go to sleep.
Right.
And there are two different styles of that. It's like, there's one where it's a random nonsense. It's an old silly man. He sounds like,
Mm-hmm.
think of somebody like what's the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm? Larry. I
Mm.
know his first name, Larry.
Mm-hmm.
Think of somebody like Larry reading this nonsensical story. Like, it took me a while to realize, like, these stories don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
He's just saying nonsense to help you go to sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's a regular story, but if you actually pay attention, which you shouldn't because you're supposed to be going to sleep,
Right.
it's actually
Mm-hmm.
pure nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one, I don't have the name in front of me. And another one is this one where this lady, she writes these short stories, and she has a
Mm-hmm.
very calm and type of voice that would help somebody go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And she reads them. They have different themes. They're usually 30 to 35 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and very succinct. And that's another one. So my thing would be more like ambient noise. So
Mm.
again, I have a little keyboard. So pretty much playing a little keyboard, maybe putting a story behind it, and
Mm.
having these ambient sounds. And so having another podcast that would be helpful to help people go to sleep.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that would help me because I don't know how to shut my brain off.
Mhm.
I find that's the hardest part of me going to sleep is
It's
that my
hard. And so
mind.
this is something I've picked up to help if it's really bad one of the days where
Mhm.
it's really like I'm struggling. It's
Mhm.
something where it's like comforting. So
Mhm.
sometimes you just, the quiet makes your mind race. So at least there's some noise, but it's also not intrusive. Like,
Right. Mhm.
So yeah. Anyway, what did you come up with?
I would say writing because I've always wanted to
Yes,
write.
you've said that before.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
I've
yeah.
always wanted to write like children's novels or like children's books. Um, but
And
I
nowadays
just
it's so easy to
it
publish.
is. It is, right? I know. I've even looked into that end
Mm.
of it. And I'm like, you're looking at publishing. Let's start writing, heifer. Like,
Yeah.
you know, um, you're jumping the gun. But I think it's because I've always liked putting
It's
thoughts and
mm,
because I find like reading helps me. It's like a vacation, and I get
yeah,
to go away somewhere
yeah,
mentally, right?
yes, yeah,
And I find that writing, when you're writing something, you also step into
yeah. You have to
a
create the
different
world.
world or dimension, right? And so
Yeah.
but what I would like to learn more about is
Mm,
I guess how to, because I would be writing as like I'm an adult, right?
hmm.
So how to appeal to younger children, right? Or
The
to,
style of writing for
right,
children's books. Yeah,
exactly, the
we
style
actually
and
have a friend. We actually have a friend that we know in university who just recently published a children's book.
right.
I could tell you after who it is, but yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
So, right. So it's always, but I've always thought, like I find it, I get blocked easily because I'm overthinking the writing process. And that
Yeah,
is,
and it doesn't
I'm
have to.
not,
That's a
I
mhm.
cannot be an adult right now. Like I
Yeah.
can't, I'm having adult thoughts of
Hmm.
a theme, right? But I need to make it child oriented.
Hmm.
And I find that sometimes initially start that way, but
Hmm.
then it gets, and it's like that's a little bit too adult like, and then it kind of throws me off, and then I start to doubt myself and all this stuff. And so um taking up that like learning how to actually write towards a specific demographic
Hmm.
would be helpful, because it's like, as an adult, it's hard for you to go back to when you're that young. And you might
Hmm.
start off that way, but it's hard to stay in that way. Do you know what I mean? Like after a
Yeah.
while, I'm going to start talking like an adult, but I don't
Hmm.
want to, right? So I think, anyway, that's something that I've always wanted to write a book. Whether
Yeah.
at one point it was more for adults, but then I, had my own child, and I was like, I don't find that there's enough literature out here for kids. Like, and the
Hmm.
literature that I did see was kind of like, it didn't really connect to the children of this day. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it almost I don't know. I just when I saw some of the books that my daughter was reading, I was like, this feels like they're writing to my generation when I
Mm.
was young,
Yeah.
and not your generation as a young person.
Yes, in 2025. Yeah.
Right? Totally different, right? And so yeah, that's definitely something that I would like to take
I
more
love it.
time into.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? This week's show has been fabulous. It
Hmm.
has been great, and our call out is, finished now, and so we are going to end our show, and we do hope that your hearts and minds have been activated on this week's show. So whether you lead with your heart or your mind, please stay passionate and thoughtful. And we'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye.
Bye.